following presentation is for educational purposes only. All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader LLC. Trading futures involve substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.
NinjaTrader Platform Unleashed. For the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to be talking about how to create a clean chart. And I don't know about you guys, but with me, it's, every time I add something, I don't delete something and it gets cluttered, it gets confusing. I look at what is this line for? What is this moving average for? So every once in a while, I'll start fresh. I'll just make a brand new chart layout with the things that are important to me. And so that's what we're going to do today. And, NinjaTrader software is very powerful in that regard. You really could customize your charts the way you want. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just create a brand new chart, right? And I'm going to go to the control panel, the control center here, right? It has a lot of stuff on it, right? It has my morning trade activity on there, and moving around in real time. I have the columns set up how I want to set them up. And then on the upper left, though, there's a new button, right? It's a new button, and it gives me all of the things I could launch, right? All trading ladders and charts and market analyzers, superdomes, all that stuff. I'm going to click on the word chart, just new, drop down menu, chart, and it's going to give me this pop-up window, right? And the first time you see it, it's like, what is this? How do I handle this? So at the top, it says instruments, and this is synonymous with markets, right? What market would you like to analyze? What market would you like on your chart? And, if you're brand new, you might have some suggestions here in the drop-down menu, right? You might have some some things that are already suggested. Or, you could just simply type a ticker symbol into that bar. It's a smart search bar, or even a keyword, and it's going to give you a list of ideas, right? It's going to give you a list of ideas. So it's pretty easy to find the market you're looking for. But let's go ahead and just pick E-mini S&P. E-mini S&P futures. We'll click on that. Come on, let's go, computer. And there we go. We have applied it, right? We're going to apply it to this chart, E-mini S&P on the left. It's set as a weekly, right? You can see it's a weekly chart. Now we could change that time frame to whatever we want. And by going over to the right-hand side and looking at properties, right? And on the property side, I'm going to change the type from a week to any of these, actually, but I'm going to go with a daily chart. We'll look at a daily candle chart. That might be fun. So I'll click on that. And then I'm going to look down. What else might I want to customize off the bat, right? Is there anything here that I'd like to customize off the bat? I'm going to look back 365 days. That's plenty. So I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to change the end date. I'm not going to change trading hours, because this is going to default to the 23-hour period of time. If you're doing an intraday, if you're not doing an intraday, it doesn't matter. So chart style, right? This is the other thing that we want to think about, right? And candlestick is defaulted here, and the Japanese candle chart is what I'm going to select. You can select any of these options that you'd like. Line on close, open, high, low close is pretty popular as well. But let's stick with candle. I'm not going to change it from here. Now, the next level here is colors for your bars, right? This is kind of important to people. Do you want it to be red or lime green? I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm just going to tweak it a little bit. Let's see, from red to, I want it to be a little darker, right? And you could scroll up here. You scroll up or down to whatever color you like. And I'm going to go with maroon. I'm going to go with maroon. I like maroon. It's a little darker. It's going to be easier for me to see contrast against the white background. And then for the bars up, again, I want it to be a little bit of a darker green. So I'm going to pick dark green. And then again, personal preference, whatever you want. Auto scale, that's all good. All of the rest of this stuff is okay. And I'm not going to plot my trades on the chart yet. I can show you how to do that later, but that's it. That's the only thing I'm going to customize. I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to open up on one of my screens here. Let me move it over. A new chart. And let me open this up all the way. All right. So you can see the candles are there, and you might say, well, Jim, the colors aren't so good. Could you change that maroon to a different color? Of course you can. You're just going to double click onto the actual candle itself, and it'll give you that same dialog box, and you could go ahead and just click again. And all right, we're going to make it, we'll make it fire brick red. Let's see if that's any better. Fire brick red. Apply and okay. And I like that. So we're going to keep it at fire brick red. Now, it's opened up the chart trader too on the right hand side. So this panel here is important if you are going to trade from the chart, right? That's what this is, why this is important. And one of the things that you want to do if you are going to do that, you don't have to do that. You could trade from the trading ladder or from the ticket itself. But if you are, you're going to want to change, you're going to want to populate it with an account number. I have a few different accounts here. So I'm just going to populate it so it's there and ready to go. So, and I'll leave that there for now. If you want to hide it, you could hide it. So right now it's active, right? Go up to the egg beater up here. It's not an egg beater. It looks, it's this icon up here. It says chart trader. You can turn it off, which means you can't place a trade from the chart. You can't make that mistake if you're scared of making a mistake. Or you could, this is the default right here. A chart trader is on, or you could have it activated, but you could hide it, right? I can click on that and I could hide that little panel if I wanted to, and I could still place trades from the chart. I'm going to go back and just show it again. Let's just show it again. And we'll keep it up there for today's presentation. All right. A couple other things to think about is bar width and the separation between the bars, right? If you click at the upper top here, at the candle, at the upper top icon, you'll see that you could change the spacing between the bars. You could either do it by clicking here, right, increasing the bar space, or you could use the control down function on your keyboard. Opposite is true with you want to reduce the spacing between bars, and you could just click on control up or just click right here. And then the bar width itself, you could change. You could make it bigger or you could make it thinner. Again, we're going to do a couple things there. We're going to add to the space, and then I'm going to make it a little thinner. I'm just going to make it a little bit thinner. And so now for me, this proportion is good for me. I can see it pretty well. I'm happy with it. There's enough definition between the candles, right? There's enough definition between the candles, and I'm happy with that. So however you want to format this is the one thing. Charts are customizable and they're very personal, right? Everybody sees something a little different in a chart, and that's okay. So just a quick reminder, again, the right axis, you could just use your mouse to make it, excuse me, expand it or contract it, and the same at the bottom. Expand or contract. Hang on a sec. All right. Mouse in the middle, if you hold your control key down, will help you just kind of, move the chart in any direction you want, right? So let's go ahead and do that so it's nice and centered. So right now, I have a pretty basic candle chart. That's all that's there. Now, the first thing I'm going to add, I want an oscillator, right? I want to put an oscillator on here, and there's all sorts of oscillators to choose from. And I'm going to go ahead and right click, and I'm going to go to indicators. The indicator's on the left-hand side, and it's going to open up another dialog box, which gives me all of the indicators that are available to me. Now, if you add an indicator from the ecosystem, as a matter of fact, if you download it and add it as a plugin, it will also show up here, right? It'll also show up in the indicator list. And Mike Burke and Ryan Krebs are going to cover that, cover a couple of new ecosystem vendors here in a short amount of time. So hang tight. So again, there's all sorts, I don't know how many of these options there are, right? There's a lot of options, right? And some of them you might be interested in, and some of them you might not be interested in. I'm going to pick RSI, Relative Strength Index. You could put a stochastic there. You could put a MACD, Commodity Channel Index, whatever's your oscillator of choice. And you could put more than one if you want, but then you're starting to clutter your chart up, right? I'm going to go ahead and just double click on that RSI in the available section. It'll populate it down here to the configured session, right? And it's highlighted already, which means on the property side, then I could adjust it, right? Let's say you don't want the period at 13, you want it at 14, you want it at 20 or something different. You could change these settings here. The smooth average line, you could change it from a 3 if you want. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to change my calculate though. To on price change. That way I don't have to wait for a new bar to see a price change. Maybe a little less important for a daily chart, but still I like to do it this way. So I'm going to click it on it, click there as well. All the rest of the stuff I'm going to keep. Now, here's another important area: visual panel, new panel. What it's going to do, it's going to put the oscillator at the bottom of the chart in its own separate window, own separate panel. So panel 1 will be the actual candle, candle pattern, and panel 2 will be the RSI. And then let's keep moving here. So new panel, it's going to create the second one, right? Justify the data on the panel. And then we have the lower lines, where, you know, it's kind of tagged to that 30 level, oversold level. You could change that lower line if you want to something else. Maybe you consider 25 to be a more important level for oversold. Change the color, the type, and all of that stuff. You could do with that. And then the upper, you could do the same thing. At the bottom here on the plots for the RSI, you could change the color, the line thickness. I'm going to make it a 2. And some people hide the average, but I like to keep it there just to kind of see crosses. And I'm going to keep that more subtle, right? We'll keep that color scheme the same. And I'm going to hit apply, and I'm going to hit OK. And now we have it. So now we have a separation, right? We have a separation between the upper panel, and we have that red line separating it, panel 1 and panel 2. And so now I have my oscillator, and now I can compare my oscillator to my to the candle, right? So it's right underneath it. The crosshairs itself transcends both panels. So as you move your crosshair around and you want to say, hey, what happened to price when we touched that 70 level, that important 70 level on the RSI, and you can kind of look, it says, well, we hit a high, right? And then you could kind of make some, you know, analysis assumptions and analysis forecasts based on that. So that's a pretty important feature as well. And again, I only have one oscillator. And when I'm thinking about keeping a chart clean, I'm thinking about, I want my best oscillator up there. I don't want to have 2, 3, or 4 oscillators, even though I could, right? They'll just create a panel 3, a panel 4, a panel 5. But it's just overload. And you are going to get some conflicting data. So what I would suggest is get real good at one that you want to use for whatever time frame you're looking at, and then hopefully you'll be able to see some magic in those tea leaves. So that's my suggestion for that. And you could see the blue line here. It's double. I made it twice as big so we could see it a little bit better. And you know, you could expand or contract the axis on panel 2 just by grabbing it with the mouse and moving it up and down. It makes it really, really easy. All right, so we have that down. What else do we want to add on this daily chart to make it clean and give us some ability to do some analysis? Well, moving averages and moving average crosses seem to be pretty important to people. So we're going to go ahead and add a moving average and a moving average. Two moving averages, which will show us potential moving average crosses. So I should say it that way. That's a little bit more accurate. And again, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to indicators, right? I'm going to go to indicators and I'm going to click on that. It'll open up the same indicator box and I'm going to add some moving averages. But now the first one I'm going to add is going to be an exponential moving average, right? And so sometimes in the indicator list, you'll see just kind of the abbreviation or, the main letters, right? EMA, exponential moving average. That's, and you'll hear people quoting EMAs all the time. The EMA is at this level, is at that level. So I'm going to double click and I'm going to bring it down. Now the default is at 14, period D14, 14, but I'm going to change it to 8. For me, 8 is my number. Again, you could experiment. The good thing about the NinjaTrader software, it lets you experiment with different levels. So you could kind of, see which particular moving averages you really want to track. You don't have to follow me or Tom or Mike or anybody for that matter. You could kind of create your own, view. So I'm going to put it at 8. Now, this is going to be my fastest moving average, right? Meaning it's going to be the smallest period, so that every new period of data is going to cause it to move faster than if I had a longer period, right? It's going to change quicker. And I'm gonna color code that. I'm gonna go to the bottom here and I'm gonna color code it. In my mind, red is fast, right? So I'm gonna change it to red, and just regular red is fine. And again, we're gonna experiment with a 2 width, right? 2. We'll keep it at the width at 2, and we won't go dash or anything like that. We'll just keep it a solid line. We'll keep it a solid line for now. Now calculate. Again, I'm going up to calculate on. You could do each tick. That's that's data sensitive though. And you could, make sure you have some good processing power there on your PC. I'm going to hit on price change. Okay. It's a little bit less data intrusive. And then that's now panel here. This is important. Panel, same as input series, right? Now let's click on that and see what that shows us. Well, same as input series is panel 1. Or we could add it to panel 2, which would put it on the RSI, which it probably isn't best practices. That would confuse me. Or we could create a new panel, right? We could put it in a new panel, panel 3, right? Which would be below the RSI. Now, if you do decide to create a panel 3, you could always change the order of your panels. It's not hard to do. But for this case, for demonstration, let's say same as input series, right? Same as input series. Now, here's another thing that's important. Price marker, right? It's checked. Now, some folks don't want it to be checked because it just adds color to your right axis. And if you have a lot of these up here, it could kind of be a visual impairment. I'm going to take it off later, but let's leave it on for now so you can see what I'm talking about. Scale justification is going to be right. So I'll hit apply and okay. So there's my 8 exponential moving average. Now, notice at the top left, it tells me, hey, Jim, you have on a daily chart, you have an 8 EMA on there. Thank you for that. You could take that off if you want, if it bothers you. You could take that off. And again, I'll show you how to do that in a little while. So that's kind of moving average number 1. And you can see the exponential 8, it fits really nicely on the chart, and it should. It's a tighter time frame. Let's add the second part though. Let's add another moving average. Again, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to indicators again, and I'm going to add a second instance of this moving average. But I'm not going to do an exponential this time. Oh no. We're going to do a simple moving average, and I'm going to go all the way down to SMA, simple moving average. I'll double click on that guy. It'll bring it back down to the configured section, which is highlighted. And I'm going to look at the period again. Like, you know what? 14 is not going to do it for me. I'm going to change it to 20. Well, actually, I'm going to change it to 21 in honor of Mike Burke. Mike Burke likes the 21s. I like the 20s, but we'll do 21, right? Period 21. It's on the daily mini S&P. That's all good. Calculate on bar close. Nope. We're going to do on price change. Now, this label, this is where if you delete this SMA, this word SMA, where it says label, then it won't show in the upper level of your chart. It won't show, it won't be up here. It won't be listed up here on the upper left. I'm going to keep it there now just to kind of show it. Scale justification right. Let's see, panel, again, same choice. Do we want to keep it on the same panel, or do we want to put it on the second panel or create a new panel? We're going to keep it on the same. We'll keep it on the same, and then we could change it later if we want. Visible, I'm going to keep that checked. The color though, since it's a slower moving average, in other words, it takes more data to calculate. It takes 20 days instead of 8. It's going to move slower. It's going to change slower because it's averaging more data. That's just a fact of math. So because of that, I'm going to make it not red. Red is fast. Red is hot. I'm going to make it blue, right? So blue is a little slower, and it won't conflict with the candle color, right? It won't conflict with my candle. We'll do medium blue. That sounds good. Medium blue. All right. So everything is set. I'm going to hit apply in OK. And now it's added that, well, I didn't change the width. Which is okay. We could change that later. It's still 1, whereas the red line, the width is 2. And again, we're trying to make clean charts here. So I'm going to ask the question to myself: would I rather have it be twice, the line twice as thick, or not? And just looking at this, I'm thinking I could handle this red line being 1. So I'm going to double click again, and I'm going to go ahead and change it. EMA width is 1. And I know this is, I'm going a little slow here on purpose. Again, though, I want to add a really, really clean chart. And so now, and if the red is too much for you guys with respect to the maroonish or fire brick red candle, change it to another color, right? Change it to another color. Change it to something that looks better on your screen. For me, this is fine. I could see it really well, and it really gives me a really good picture. So again, we have 2 moving averages, and sure enough, we have a moving average cross, which did its job, right? The fast moving average cross below the slow, suggesting a direction change, which sure as heck we got. Now, again, this doesn't always work. These crosses don't always work. They seem to be work a little bit better on a longer term chart than a shorter term chart, but it's a technique that a lot of traders will use. Now, I could move these moving averages to another panel if I wanted to pretty easily. So you could see the numbers and you could see the crosses off of the actual candle. But for me, I kind of like to see where price action is in relationship to the EMA and the SMA in real time. Okay, so we added that, and that, again, this is daily chart analysis here. Now, the other thing I'm going to add to this particular chart is a drawing tool. So, and in particular, I'm going to add a what's called a Fibonacci retracement, right? And again, I want to analyze the trend or a segment of the trend, and I want to see where price is in relationship to that trend. So I'm going to go up to that pencil drawing tool. This is the drawing tool. These are all of my drawing tools available. There's a lot of them, right? And we'll go over a couple of them, but let's go to Fibonacci retracement. Now, I have mine customized a little bit, and I'll explain that in a second. So I want to analyze this big trend. This has been a nice upward trend for a long period of time, and then we had a sell-off. I want to see what this sell-off looks like in relation to this tremendous trend we had. So I'm going to figure out where the trend started from, right? This trend started in my mind right here on January 18th. So I'm going to start my fib line here, low to high, right? I'm going to click low to high, and the high wick where the trend ended is up here, right? So what it did is it painted this fib scale, if you will, onto the chart itself. Now, notice my numbers aren't exactly fib numbers. They're a little different, right? Because it's a harmonic fib, right? It's breaking these up into a piano keyboard, if you will. But the numbers are pretty similar. As an example, a regular fib would be 38.1% retracement would be a number. The harmonic's 37.5. So it's really close. Again, and this is a customization I did, and then at a later date, I'll show you how to do it. You could just keep it at the default, though, will be regular fib numbers when you see the default. Now, one might say, hey, Jim, your chart is not very clean right now. You're kind of making it a little bit messy, and you're right. So what I could do is I could highlight that. I could capture the fib, and I could move the anchor points way to the right. I can move the anchor point way to the right, right? I'm still touching that low. I'm still touching this low wick right here in January. And then I'm going to move the anchor point to the top, way to the right. Move it way to the right, right? So now what I've done was I've cleaned up my chart. It looks a little bit better. You have to admit, it looks a little bit better because my fib lines are way over here. My fib lines are way over here on the right-hand side. But, the crosshairs, you just use your crosshairs and you can kind of look. You can kind of look. And the other thing I forgot to mention is, I just kind of visually decided where the high and the low was using the crosshairs. If you wanted to be precise, right, I can go to this high point, use the roller of my mouse and say, what was the high of that move? It was 33.50, right? Again, just put your mouse on the candle, hold down the middle mouse button, and you'll see the high was 33.50. So I'm going to double click on my fib. And I want to make sure I'm at 33.50. So let's see, where are we at here? 33.06, right? So I want to change it to 33.50. I want to be exact, right? I'll hit apply, and okay. It's a subtle difference. You won't really see it very much, but if you wanted to do it that way, and then the same thing I'm going to do for this low, and actually the low wick is this one right here, right? The low wick I have way off. I mean, the start of the trend is right here. So again, middle mouse key, low 63.50. All right, 63.50. Let's double click there. 63.50. Where's that at? 63.50. Well, I was pretty close. I was 63.52 and some change. We'll change it to 63.50, apply, and okay. So now I've anchored my fib to exactly the high in the low that I wanted to anchor it to. So that's kind of clean. Now, the other thing that's bothering me, I don't know if it's bothering you, but it's bothering me, are these labels here on the left-hand side. You can see we have in the black there, we have the price. We have the actual price, right? We have the price of that's moving around in real time. That's mark to market. That's the price of the market. And then we have the blue label, which is that slow exponential. That's that 21 period moving average. And then we have the red, which is the exponential moving average. And I don't, you know what? I don't need to see that. It's kind of interfering with my right axis. So I'm going to take these off one at a time. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to indicators again. And when I do that, it shows these indicators that are already configured. And I'm going to go to the EMA, and then I'm going to kind of look for price markers, right? EMA price marker. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to uncheck that. Just click that uncheck button. I'm going to do the same thing with the simple moving average. I'm going to click that uncheck button. And then I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to do it one more time too. See, they disappeared on the right. I'm going to do it on this RSI. So I'm going to go down to the RSI. And again, same thing. What you could take away the price. You could take away the, let's say, price marker as well. You don't have, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But for me, I think it makes it look cleaner, and you could kind of use your crosshairs to see where you're at. RSI doesn't have to be exact, in my humble opinion. So I'm going to just click that off and hit apply and okay. So there you have it. So it's pretty clean so far, right? Pretty clean. I just have an oscillator. I just have a moving average cross, and I just have a Fibonacci extension, right? So this is my base. This is the base of my chart. Maybe your, oscillator is MACD or stochastics or something else, but I'm gonna keep that there as well. So what else could we do here? What other things we could do here? We could right click and go down to properties, and we get this this overall chart property dialog box, and you could change fonts if you will. My panel splitter is red. I could change the panel splitter to a different color. I don't know, lavender sounds good. We'll change it to lavender. Grids, grid lines. Again, you could change the grid line colors as well. And as you go through this formatting process, and I know a lot of people spend a lot of time on charts, the key is to make it as clean as you can with respect to your technical analysis technique, whatever that is, right? So again, you could really, really go to town here and customize a lot of this stuff as well. So I'm just going to hit apply and okay. The only thing I changed was my panel separator. And just to remind everybody, the panel separator, you could just grab and move up and down. You just grab and move up and down. It's really, really, really handy. So that's kind of the basics here. There's more stuff you could add, right? We're running out of time here because we have a really great guest coming up next. There's more stuff that you could add, but just be kind of cognizant, right, of just having too much information. It could cause some confusion and some trouble as you're going forward here. And also remember, the drawing tools could be added and deleted in mass, right? You could delete drawing tools, remove all drawing objects, going all the way down to the bottom, and then you could reset and reestablish them. Because over time, you might add some trend lines, right? You might add some trend channels with the tools and stuff that, after a while, this trend channel is no longer any good anymore. But, maybe you had that in here in the beginning of April. And now it's like, all right, now it's cluttering my chart. So I'm just going to delete it. I'm just going to highlight it and delete it. It's really that easy.
All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader LLC. Trading futures involve substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.